Trade Ball Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan, and I am joined by my co-host, RJ and Jalil. Y'all say what's up to the people, man.
Yep.
What's good?
How are y'all doing today?
I'm chilling, bro. Watch some morning soccer. Just chilling.
Feeling good. Happy to have a guest.
I'll let you. We do have a guest today, as y'all can see. I let RJ introduce him.
This is a guest. Depending on where you're from, this guy might be a little polarizing to you.
Really?
I hate to give him his props, but he knows quite a bit about ball. So Caden, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself a little bit. Tell everybody your favorite team, and just let them know a little bit about you.
What's up, everybody? I'm Caden. Nice to finally be on the pod. I've been bugging RJ about this forever, and based off last night, today we lightened the beam. That's all I gotta say, man. We lightened the beam today. So Keegan Murray had a nice little game. Love to see it. Of course, I'm over here watching Colby Covington fight terribly. So that's
that shit was horrible.
But like the beam, Keegan Murray playing great two-way player now. So yeah.
So are you a Kings fan?
Most def. I had a claim, bro. I claim the fandom. So look, I'm a LeBron fan at heart, but LeBron about done. All right. And
mind
so
you,
I was
this nigga is 21 years old. 21. the first. I mean, 16 years in the middle of this nigga's life, he didn't give a fuck about the Kings. They make the playoff. He a Kings fan now.
All right. I was always a big De'Aaron Fox guy though. So it was like back in either 2019 or 2020. I had League Pass back then, and I always like De'Aaron Fox. And there was this one game I watched where he played. The Kings played the Blazers. Fox is full court picking up Dame. First quarter, I only watched first quarter and how to go, but Fox is full court picking up Dame. He ends the quarter with like 12, 5, and 5, and I was like, yo, this guy got something to him, man. And then stuff happened.
So you glazed this nigga based off a quarter?
He was a good player, man. It's the flashes. Man. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
He was showing the flashes, and I was like, that's a flash of like a great player. Because not only was he doing it offensively, but he's doing it on defensive end. And those teams were terrible. Rashawn Holmes, that's who your starting center is?
Yeah,
Rashawn
that was how they
worked
were
on the Mavericks right now. So yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that is a good player to become one of your favorite players, considering 35-7 on the season so far. So he's a very, very good player. But nice to meet you, Caden. I'm glad to have you. And unless y'all subscribe for us, like the video, comment down below. We do plan on having some more guests in the future. Past a couple weeks, we've had some, and y'all let us know if you like the vid. If y'all want Caden to come back, I don't see a problem with it. I don't know if RJ might have a problem with that.
Nah,
we'll see.
I fake hate him.
Oh, okay,
fake.
Well,
we're good. I definitely like to have him back.
Of course. But yeah, y'all go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. And without further ado, we can go ahead and get into this video. So, starting off with one of the best teams in the NBA right now, your Los Angeles Clippers.
One of the best
currently
teams.
They have been one of the best teams the last couple weeks, yeah. I saw something that was like in their last 14, they were like 11-3 or some shit like that, or like in the last 11 they were 8-3 or something like that, yeah.
So. I know I got to start off with talking about them. I'm going to drop some stats first, all right? And they have been on the rise. And I just want you, I'll let y'all know, I'm not the one who decided to talk about them. RJ is. So
that's true.
Don't get mad at me for always bringing them up. And so we are currently 6th in defense, which we have been top 10 in defense all season. So it's not a surprise. But we have risen up to 12th in offense. And for a while, we were in the 20s. So that's one of the big reasons why they're really starting to figure out offensively. And what I think the big reason why they have been so good as of late is, one, everybody's been playing. Kawhi has played every game this season. PG's only missed one game. James Harden, since he's got here and suited up, he hasn't missed a game, right? So all the key guys have been playing almost every game this season. And then Tyronn Lue is making way better rotations. he is doing a thing where he's not playing James Harden and Russ together really at all. And I love to see that because this isn't 2018 anymore. This isn't 2020, right? We don't need to see them two on the court together. And only every once in a while in stints maybe, but besides that, they don't need to be on the court together. And Tyronn Lue realized that, so I'm glad to see that. And then my main takeaway is Kawhi is finally acting like the definitive number one option. Over this last 5 games, he's averaging 29. Shooting crazy efficient. He's still shooting like 45% from 3 on the season. And he's been lights out, and he's acting like he's the number one option. When James Harden first got there, it was we're all, 4 of the greatest players of all time, this and that. And that's not going to get done from your best player. And I'm glad he's finally taken over these games, and he's had a couple 40 pieces lately, and I'm glad to see it, and I need to continue to see that from him, and it's PG as well. You can tell that Kawhi's the best player and PG's the second best player, and that's what it should be. For the first half of these games, we're 25 games in. For the first 13, 14, maybe even like 15 games, PG was the best player, and as much as I love PG, we can't really have that.
I definitely I have to agree, and I feel like there had to be a meeting almost where they kind of decided how things were going to go.
Right.
You don't just see things change like this. I mean, because even when y'all first got Harden, it was looking a little like, yikes, what the fuck? Like, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
And so I feel like they definitely had a meeting or had some talks about how things were going to go. And I hope so. And if they did, then that means James Harden was willing to take a back seat. And if he's willing to take a back seat, if James Harden's going to be your third best player, you can make a deep run. And especially coming at it from the angle y'all are coming at it from, if y'all are able to get, because y'all never fell too far, right? Y'all still early in the season, still going to probably be able to get like a top 4 seed if you continue to play well. I don't see any reason why y'all can't come out of the West. Because the West, as far as like experience at the top is thin. You got Minnesota, obviously the Nuggets are coming back, but they haven't looked like the same team. Jokic had a few stinkers last week or a few weeks before. Yeah. The Thunder. You got teams like that. And then the Kings. No offense, Caden, but y'all are still really young. Y'all still don't have much playoff experience. So when you look at the top of the Western Conference, I don't see a reason why y'all couldn't come out the West if you continue playing like this.
Right.
And hate to be the negative guy, but there's still too much. There's too much ball watching for the Clippers.
I agree.
They play a really ugly brand of offense. It's James Harden pick and roll. That doesn't work. All right, cool. We're going to Kawhi mid post isolation. PG top of the key isolation. And there's too many of that. But there's too much of that. But what we're seeing now a lot more from James Harden is the James Harden of last year pre All-Star break, where Doc Rivers, he's gone on Bill Simmons, he's gone on different shows and talked about it. That James Harden, he's actively trying to make players better. He's trying to make the extra pass. He's trying to set guys up. He's not just trying to, I'm the system. We're going to run pick and roll and then just see what works. He's like, no, I'm going to set guys up. I'm going to put guys in the position they need to score. And we're seeing that a lot more from James Harden now, which is definitely good to see. But there's still too much standing around and ball watching. Because even versus I'm gonna say it, the Kings, there's a lot of movement, especially in the new Sixers offense with Nick Nurse.
Yeah,
you could have a 2-man game with Maxey and Embiid, and on the weak side action, y'all they could be running like not floppy, but they'll have a pin down for like a 3-point shooter like Tobias Harris to come around top of the key to keep the rest of the defense occupied. So I would like to see the Clippers do some more stuff like that, and I think they can. They got Tyronn Lue. He's one of the best coaches in the league. And then also on a lot of those sets, when they do get penetration, the defense collapses and rotate. James Harden, when the defense is rotating and you get swung the ball and you're at the top of the key wide open, you can't reset the offense. Either we got to attack something, we either got to attack or shoot it. You're a good enough shooter and you're a good enough playmaker. And you still have enough burst to where if someone's recklessly closing out on you, you're going to be able to get by and make some more things happen.
Yeah. I agree with most of what you said. That's always been one of my biggest gripes as well. Like, I was talking about, after the first 3 or so games of the season, or maybe 4 or 5, before the trade even happened, how I was giving them the Clippers praise about how they actually looked like an actual offense for once. They were actually moving without the ball, running a lot of more sets instead of Kawhi isolation, PG isolation. But once that trade happened, that's when it went back to the usual. Okay, I'm Kawhi. I'm going to ISO in the high post. Everybody else stand still and wait for the ball. And that's always been a problem since we got PG and Kawhi. That's been a problem for this team always. But as much as I've gotten on it and I've complained about it, and everybody else says, "Oh, this team needs a real PG," so that doesn't happen. It's never happened, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is the way they play, and it still works because at the end of the day, these are some of the greatest players. These are all multiple top 75 players, right? And they are they're good at what they do, right? Even though that's not what I want all the time, and if PG's having an off game, or that's a lot less offense that I'm getting, but that's still their brand of basketball at the end of the day. So I try not to gripe on it as much anymore.
It's just tough coming down the stretch when you look at the playoffs. Things start to slow down, and you have to maximize obviously your transition opportunities. But then when it slows down, you need good sets, right? Because you're not going to get as many transition opportunities. And then, like you said, like ISO ball, it's like almost like people used to say, like live by the 3, die by the 3, or live by ISO ball, die by ISO ball. Because when those shots start to not fall, what do you do if you don't have an offense? It's not like y'all have a bunch of. I mean, y'all have decent people that can fit into the system, but y'all don't have anyone that's like y'all don't have the role players to keep up with or to get out of playing ISO ball. So y'all are kind of stuck to playing that type of basketball. And like you said, you got 3 or 4 top 75 players. So you figure you can get away with it, but then like what happens when those shots don't fall? And I think that could be y'all's only downfall as we move into the playoffs and get deep in the regular season.
I definitely think y'all
Jalil,
probably need
you got any thoughts?
I mean, pretty much y'all covered it all. I think back to what Caden was saying, I think while ideally you would love to see them, use more sets and be more creative and have an actual offense with those, those main 3 guys, PG, Kawhi, and Harden, you're naturally going to get a lot of ball watching. Because, I mean, for one, fans going to come to see them. And then at the end of the day, all 3 of them are guys in their own respective right. So you're going to get a lot of ball watching. But I think right now we've seen like the best of it. Like we've seen how good the Clippers could be. And when Harden got there, I think they went 0-5, Ethan?
Yeah, and then we ended 0-6 actually, 0-6.
Yeah, and so that was obviously the worst of it. But I think come time, like in the playoffs, obviously, like RJ said, things are going to slow down. And I think depending on the matchup, it can be tough, but they definitely can't come out the West. Yeah.
Right. And that kind of moves into our next topic because so you talk about matchups. I really think this year in the West, at the very least, it's going to be very matchup based because, when we look at the 2 through 7 right now, that's one of our main topics we want to talk about today is, the number 2 seed to the number 7 seed out West, how things are going to shake up, right? And when you really sit down and look at the standings, 2 seed is OKC, 7 seed right now is Houston, but we can honestly say through the 9th seed, even maybe the 10th seed, because you got most of these teams have either 15 or 16 wins, all like the same amount of wins right now. So it's kind of like what it was last season, to where one game separated can get you either out of the playoffs entirely, or out of the play-in entirely, or all the way locked in playoff spot.
If Dallas loses 2 games in a row, they're looking at maybe the 9th seed, maybe the 10th seed. So like
and they're the 3 seed right now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tight. It's very tight.
But yeah, what do y'all really think about how things are going to go? What teams are going to jump up, what teams are not, what teams have are going to benefit more from favorable matchups, things like that.
Cade, you got it.
I definitely think my king, we're definitely a team. We need a favorable matchup. I mean, if we're matched up against, my hope is we can avoid the Nuggets and the Lakers, and honestly the Timberwolves too, because although our starting lineup is big, we struggle against size because Domantas Sabonis is our center. There's only so much rim protection that we have. I mean,
right.
So I definitely think a team like the Clippers, we definitely can beat. We don't got to, where there's not a superimposing force like a LeBron and AD or a Jokic, where it's just like physically there's just nothing we have that can match up against it. Now, I'm not saying like Kawhi and PG aren't that, but it's just like when it's just like damn, Sabonis, you're just getting killed, and there's nothing we can do. There's no options to look for on the bench, but I think outside of those three teams, I think the Kings can beat just about anybody, and I would say that's the same thing with the Clippers. I would say like a lot of these teams, like they can go far if they don't have to face teams like the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Lakers, and I also think the Nuggets are going to want to avoid the Timberwolves because I mean, the Timberwolves, they're a huge team, and when they want to, they can lock down. Anthony Edwards, whenever he wants to, can be one of the best, if not the best defender in the league. And you got Rudy Gobert, back looking like DPOY. Hey,
the best, Caden.
Anthony Edwards.
I saw him strap Jason Tatum. I know what you're saying, like in a one-on-one, one possession type of game. Yeah,
and there can be a 2-3 minute stretch where it's just like, damn, Anthony Edwards is the best defender in the league. Now he can't do that a whole game, but there are stretches where it's just like, damn, what do you do?
Let me ask you this. Guy. Is if you're saying that at times he can look like the best defender in the league, and right, obviously we know his offensive talent. Are there times where he looks like the best player in the league?
I will say against that the Celtics game where they went to overtime, he had a stretch where it's like, wow, this guy looks like the best player in the league.
Yeah.
However,
I agree.
Anthony Edwards is 23. I mean, as good as we think the Timberwolves are going to be, history shows like Kareem, I think, is one of like the youngest superstars ever to be the best guy on the team on the championship. And the only reason he won at 24, but he also had Oscar Robertson as a teammate. He was probably one of the 10 best players in the league at the time. So,
yeah.
But when you look at it, history says your best guy needs to be 26, 27, 28 or older to win that title. And he's young, and you see it at the end of games sometimes in clutch situations where it's like, why'd you make that pass? Or like, there's decisions that you're making where it's like, why are you making those decisions? You don't need to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I definitely think that'll be their Achilles heel as we get into the playoffs. Just inexperience. I mean, obviously you get a guy like Rudy Gobert. He's done it. I guess Cat has kind of done it before. They made the playoffs a couple times since he's been there, but it's a Cat, so like, what the fuck? They got Mike Conley, so I guess he could be some leadership. But it's Mike Conley. I don't know how much he's not moving the needle too much for you right now. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna disrespect him, but like, I don't know. Is he moving the needle? Is he getting it done? So I think that'll end up when they go, if they have to play a team like, I don't foresee them staying the number one seed. But even if they do, like, say if they
give that the one seed.
Exactly. But if they do, okay, say if they land the Lakers. I mean, I think that would be tough on them just because the Lakers have LeBron and AD who have done it. They've been to the promised land and got what they needed.
I like the Timberwolves against the Lakers.
I think they're a better team, but I just also know the playoffs is a different beast.
It is, but I got to take what I'm saying at face value right now, right? And what I'm seeing is I think that would be a favorable matchup for the Timberwolves. I think it can go either way, like a team like the Kings or the Clippers, right? Or even OKC kind of too, like playing against the Timberwolves, for example. I find those teams a little bit more scary because these are teams that I can run you out the gym and I can beat you with, Clippers, for example. I can put Kawhi at the 4. I'm making it to where, I'm matched up with Karl Anthony Towns, right? And obviously, he's not going to be the one guarding Kawhi, but I would fear more of the small ball if I'm Minnesota than fearing the big teams. Like, I think I like the Timberwolves' chances against the Nuggets and the Lakers. These bigger teams, because the Timberwolves are a big team too, and Rudy Gobert is probably the DPOI right now. As much as, but what have we seen that in the playoffs can affect him and, that small ball, right? And I don't trust the Lakers as much in that small ball realm, right? Even if it's, AD at the 5, I don't trust it that much. And then you got, the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets, they're still one of the best teams. They can beat anybody, but I think the Timberwolves match up best with them out of any other team, right? Mm-hmm. But it's those teams that can go small, like even like the Kings that we talked about. Sabonis being that hub, bringing Gobert up to the high mid range, bringing him out of the paint. That can really do something to the T-Wolves as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think it could go either way. Like the Timberwolves could easily beat the Kings or the Clippers, or the Clippers and Kings could surprise them in a first round matchup. So I think those ones are iffy, but I think those big teams like the Nuggets or the Lakers, I think they could. I think the Timberwolves, that's their best chance, even though they have the experience.
What do we think about the Thunder? I'm gonna let Jaleel go about this one because that's his squad.
I mean, to be honest, we look good right now, but just at the end of the day, it is a young team, and I know at some point during the season we're gonna go through a stretch to where we have probably 3-7, throughout a 10-game stretch. And hopefully we don't fall too far during that, especially because the West is so close. But I think we could cap out at a second round. Just me personally, but I think it entirely depends on when that stretch does come, how far we fall, and who we can get in the first round.
Yeah,
because I
agree.
I think experience is going to play a big role.
Yeah. Where what is everybody give me y'all's top 4 at the end of the year? I mean, obviously it's a prediction, but who do you think the 4 best teams in the West are?
Yikes!
I'm gonna have
to I'll start. Actually, Ken, you got it. All
right. I'm gonna have to go Timberwolves, Nuggets, Lakers, and damn, I don't know if I can say there's a fourth. I think those 3 teams have kind of like separated themselves, even though Lakers are like
the
Lakers.
In the West.
I don't have trust in the Lakers.
But the thing is with the Lakers is it's like cool. The playoffs are gonna slow down, and then LeBron's like, all right, whoever's your worst defender is gonna have to guard me the all game, and you're gonna scheme it to not be that, but that's what it's gonna be. You're gonna scheme something. You're gonna throw a zone. You're gonna throw whatever defense you have at me, and I'm gonna break it down, and I'm gonna get us a good shot every time. And that's just what it's going to be. And I just think a lot of these other teams, they don't have that. Outside of like a Mavericks, even the Suns don't have that. But outside of like, it's really just the Lakers and the Mavericks. But they just have a guy where it's like, no matter what defense you throw at me, I'm going to get my team a good shot. And so that's why I have those Lakers in the top 3. But between that, for that 4th spot, I guess the Mavericks, just because Luka had a kid and he ain't turned back since. Someone said, saw me and someone said he had a kid and put that shoelace headband on. He been killing niggas ever since.
He been tearing niggas up.
Bad.
Yeah, these teams are so hard to judge, man. Like I almost completely forgot about Dallas when I was thinking about this, because this is another one of those teams that I could see them making a conference finals run, or maybe even a possibly an NBA finals run, or I could see them going out in the first round. Like, and that's how it is for a lot of these. Like, I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if that happened to OKC or Dallas or Sacramento or the Clippers or the Lakers. Minnesota and Denver are the only 2 I'm up on. I think those 2 are probably going to be all of our top 4s. They're going to be. I know those are the locked into in my top 4. Because Denver, they just did it last year. They have the best player in the league, and the Timberwolves just look so good, but I'm still even iffy on them. Like, I can't say I would be necessarily crazy surprised if the Timberwolves lost in the first round either.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think for my top 4, though, I'm gonna go Minnesota and Denver. I'm just gonna put the Clippers in there just because, but I'm not even I'm not confident in that. I'm gonna put them in there off what I've seen the past couple weeks, and I'm not gonna put this team in there. But how do we feel about the Suns?
I saw him play the other night, and it's like when KD's not going, and you know what? I'll say it, man. I feel like Book might be getting too much hype. Like Book is good, and I understand he's taking on some of the point guard responsibilities but I don't. He's not. He don't look the same to me. I understand. Again, he's taking on the point guard responsibilities.
Has some injuries.
Has some injuries. Hasn't been fully healthy the whole year. I get it, but he just seems off to me. And it's like his decision making. He takes a lot of, and he's not one of those guys that takes a lot of bad shots. Like he's taking these shots that are like contested middies, and I know that's his game, but
to be fair, he's averaging 28, 6, and 8.
I saw that shit though, Ethan. And also that's him
almost 50, 40, 90.
I guess it just looked bad. And I understand people have bad games, I get
He
it.
has had some
I
bad
do.
games, though. I'll give you that.
But I feel like let me put it like this: when Book has bad games, they're bad games. There's no like in between. Oh, he played all right. It's he played abysmal or he was Book. And then obviously KD is KD. I don't think he's falling off and all. But Bradley Beal has shown that he can't play more than a quarter. So, I mean, I don't know.
My thing with,
you got it.
My thing with the Suns is definitely just like if they could go back in time and if they could have traded those assets they got for Bradley Beal and turned them into like 2 quality rotational pieces, I think their team looks a lot different. Because I'll say people want to be like, oh, the Suns got depth, but it's like, do they have depth or do they just have like guys on a roster who we think are good? And I think it's more of the latter than the former. So I think if they had like 2 like legit quality rotational players, I think their team looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do have some decent guys, but it's hard. It's just they're so hard for me to judge too, just because we have only seen 6 games of Bradley Beal, and his back in all those 6 games, he still did not look healthy. So it's like, what if he ends up getting back and then we're at game 60 and he's averaging 20? Who knows, right? It's so hard to judge them, and like I think as of right now, we can't really call them a contender, because they don't have. They have, the bright spots of obviously KD, Devin Booker, even though he has some bad games. And like we said, besides that, you got Eric Gordon, Keita Bates-Diop, Josh Okogie, Drew Eubanks.
Yikes.
Nurkic have been having a good season.
He has been.
I can't even finish my top 4 yet. I'm gonna pass it to you, Julia. What do you think about your top 4 though? Because as of right now, I'm just Minnesota and Denver.
I'm going to go Minnesota, Denver. I want to say the Thunder, but I'm going to say the Clippers and Dallas. Yeah.
That's fair. Fair. I'm tempted. Okay, so we already said Minnesota and Denver. They're locks, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these standings. I'm saying to myself, like, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. But I'm tempted to make my last 2 teams the Clippers and Lakers. Like, I just think going down the stretch, those teams could be most dangerous. And, like, I understand, like, it's tough. Like, nobody wants to say, like, regular season doesn't matter. You're like, it is what it is. But, like, at a certain point, the regular season doesn't matter. You have to play the playoffs. And I think they're just dangerous. When you get down to it, they just have the most weapons and have the people that have done it the most and I think it's going to take a team, a younger team playing really good basketball to knock them off. It's going to be hard. So I gotta say Clippers and Lakers the last 2.
I'm kind of in the same boat almost. It's just the one problem, and this is with both teams. The Clippers and the Lakers have both been surprisingly healthy this season. The Lakers had some role players injured, but when I say that, I'm talking about the main guys. Like I said, Kawhi, PG's missed 1 game, Kawhi's played every game. We haven't seen that in a long time, right? Even though we're only a 4th of the season. But LeBron and AD haven't really missed either. And what we've seen the past 2-3 seasons, at least 1 out of these 4 guys are going to be missing a significant amount of time. If we don't, I hope we don't, obviously, but LeBron's had an injury every year. Kawhi and PG have had an injury every year. Anthony Davis had an injury every year. So I just worry that if something like that happens close to playoffs, like last year, for example, when PG had that scary, knee hyperextension, right? I remember that game. I was watching that game, and I said immediately, he's not playing anymore. He didn't play anymore, right? And maybe who knows if we have him, maybe we get to the second round. I don't think we win everything, but something like that happens, and one of those significant guys go out. You can't trust the Lakers at all without AD. They're still okay, but without LeBron, you can't trust the Lakers at all. I don't think we can trust. I haven't seen the Clippers yet without Kawhi this season, but from what I've seen the past couple of years, I don't trust them at all without Kawhi. Not in this Western Conference. No. So that's why part of me wants to go with almost a Dallas and a Sacramento, or a Dallas and OKC, or a Sac and OKC, because we haven't seen any significant injuries from the Kings. De'Aaron Fox missed some time at the beginning of the season, but besides that, they've been healthy. They're healthy all last season. That's why they were the 2 seed. OKC, we haven't seen anything really significant. You have Chet that had missed the whole season last year, but he's been fine this season. He's been playing. He's a rookie of the year. And then Dallas. I mean, Dallas scares me too because you're one Luka injury away from being the 15th seed. So
yeah,
man, I think I'm gonna go Minnesota, Denver, and then I tried talking myself out of it, but I'm gonna go the Lakers and Clippers as well.
Yeah.
I tried talking myself out of it, and y'all know I don't want to put the Lakers in there at all. But
yeah, I get it. One thing before we move on, do y'all think when Ja comes back they'll be able to make a little noise or no? They're too far gone.
12th seed at best.
I think they're too far gone.
No.
8. I was like trying to do the math in my head, but they're 6-18 right now.
Yep,
something like that. And they'd have to win like an extraordinary amount of like percentage of their last games to even win like 40 games. So I don't. What are you scheming up?
What
down
I
there?
think the Grizzlies should do.
Okay.
They should trade. They should trade us Jaren Jackson Jr.
Trade y'all Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, because that'll fix
For who?
just about all of our defensive problems.
Okay, yeah, but who do you give them?
Size, hey man, we give them a picks-based package because let's be honest, y'all are bad. You
That's
might as
stupid.
well just keep being.
Why would they do that? Y'all are on the upswing.
But y'all might as well keep being bad this year and get a good pick out of it. And then you can give them some picks in the future. I don't know. Give them 2 unprotected, 2 pick swaps, a couple seconds.
That's why I don't think they would do that because I think the Grizzlies right now, I think they already know the season's done for. They have their starting centers done for the rest of the season. Brandon Clark, I don't think is coming back until at least January. I think I don't know when
it'll be
back.
something like that. Like not for a while.
That's true. They lost Dylan Brooks in free agency. They lost Tyus Jones. John Morant is about to come back after missing over a fourth of the season. So it's just like I think they already know this, and I think instead of trading one of their main guys away, they're going to try to get somebody to come to the Grizzlies. Like the Kings and the Grizzlies are both teams who have pretty much all of their picks, right? So these are both teams that are probably looking at the OG Anunobis of the world right now. Are looking at Memphis apparently offered 4 first-round picks from Mikal Bridges last year, right? It's like these are both teams who I think are going to try to bring somebody in, not ship somebody out. I don't. Jaren has also been very good as of late, and DPOY last season, All-Star last season, might be an All-Star this season, but I doubt it being the 13th seed. But he's playing like an All-Star, and they have Desmond Bane who's been playing like an All-Star too. So I think if the Grizzlies tank this year, I say forget this year. Ja, you have a wrist sprain this week. You're not playing for a week. Right? You're already not getting any awards anyway. Don't worry about this week. Like they do stuff like that and get a top 5 pick somehow. Either draft somebody, trade that for along with other stuff, bring in another star player. Because then that would be if Josh stays under control. That's a great team.
Mm.
So I could see them doing something like that instead of training their star player.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up. And then the next thing, I feel like I have to explain this because I put it on the docket, and I feel like sometimes when I'm typing it up, and I'm like, will they understand? So I'm gonna explain this one a little bit more. And I was just watching the Knicks the other day, and Brunson shot him 50 points, insane second half, right? But
yep, 9 for 9 from 3.
You look, and I feel like the Knicks are just stuck in this perpetual just cycle, right? They're good, and they'll always be good enough to make a run, obviously, or a playoff run, right? Or at least get to the playoffs. And then you got Tom Thibodeau as your coach. So you're gonna have a sound defense. You're gonna have players out there trying to win. But it's like something's just missing. And so I want to ask y'all, like, where do they go? Like, what do they do? I mean, we're coming up on mid-season, or like we're getting there. And it's just like, what can they do to move the needle? Because I mean, we've seen the Knicks be this team for around 3 years now. So, what could they do?
What do you think? What do you think about this, Jill? I need some time to think about this for a second.
I think you either go all in at the trade deadline or you just accept where you at. That's the only 2 options. I don't know. You probably put all your chips in, finally get Zion and RJ to link up in New York or something. Try to push for a Levine or a DeRozan. Or you just You accept it and just keep living the way you're living.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I'm big on them trying to go get Zach LaVine. Now again, does that get them where they want to be? I don't know, right? Because you still in that East, you still gotta go through Boston, you still gotta go through Milwaukee. So
I mean, where do they want to be? Like, are they pushing for
New
a
York
championship, or is second round kind of their thing?
I think you got to be trying to come out the East, especially with what they already have. I mean, Brunson's a true point guard, can really fill it up. Great basketball mind, right? I think Julius Randle could be a number 2 on a championship team, but just not what they're asking him to be, which is the number 1. If Julius Randle is your best player, you're kind of maxed out with how good you can be. So, I think that they need to make a move, and then if they go get LaVine, does that really? I mean, move the needle. I think what you said, Jalil, and them going to maybe go get Zion would be cool. But then the Pelicans are not they're not playing horrible. We didn't really talk about them in the last segment we just had, but they win a couple more games and they're looking at 4 or 5 seeds. So I don't know if they're willing to just deal their best player or the second best player, whatever you want to, however you want to say it. Yeah. So I don't know who the Knicks can go get, but I definitely think, and this is going to be kind of controversial, but I think Tibbs has to get the boot. I understand the thought process of defense and but I feel like players in the NBA, they're not idiots. They're not dumbasses. They know they're not just going to come. I think that's why they have trouble getting free agents, is because people know how Tibbs is. I don't think I don't think a star is going to want to go play for a guy that's if you don't play defense, you won't play. That's just not, especially not a guy like Zion. I mean,
exactly.
I didn't mean to throw in a Zion joke, but fuck that nigga. Like what they say, he'll eat the table. Fuck, he's not gonna. He's not gonna.
I think it's because he's in New Orleans though.
And
he didn't have this problem. He was at Duke. Because North Carolina and New Orleans food kind of is vastly different.
Man, listen, I can't even blame Zion. I got some family who lived in New Orleans. Can't blame them.
The food's good.
I ain't never seen anybody skinny from New Orleans.
Nope. But no, the Knicks they're very weird because they're a team that.
Hold on, I gotta step out. How do I turn my camera off? I'll be back.
Sounds good. But yeah, so the Knicks are a team who could trade. They have all their picks, right? They have all their picks, and all of their main guys are under 30. All their guys are between the ages of 23 and 29, around that range. Like Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, 28, 29. But then they have other guys like RJ, who's 23. Quentin Grimes, he's young. Then like Josh Hart, who's in the mid 20s as well. So all their guys are still relatively younger in their primes of their career. So they're not a team that's going to get past the second round, I don't think. With the team that they have, maybe a Cinderella Conference Finals run sometime. But besides that, they're just not competing with the teams up top. And, it also depends on where, like Jalil, you said, where do they want to be? Because I think the ownership's probably fine with where they're at right now, considering where they were a decade ago, right? But it's also a team that I think has to be patient and, say, all of a sudden, Giannis, for example, requests a trade. They're a team who has assets, right? And I think they need a superstar. It's easy to say they're a superstar away, but they're a team who's equipped to win a championship, but they don't have the superstar. As good as Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle are, and Jalen Brunson has been that best player on that team this season. He's averaging 25. But, you're not going to win a championship with Jalen Brunson as your best player in your team either. Just as much as you're not going to win with Julius Randle. So it's really more so of they have all their picks and never draft well either. So you got to wait. Now, I won't even pull the trigger on a Zach LaVine or a Zion because that's not moving the needle, I don't think. As much as Zion has the potential, we know his history. Like RJ was talking about the eating thing and then the injuries. And I think you would have to, if you're going to make a trade, it needs to be for a superstar.
I definitely agree with everything you just said. But more on the picks thing, I got it pulled up right now. They have 4 picks this year, 4 first rounders between Dallas, Washington, their own, and Detroit. Now the Dallas, Washington, Detroit picks, they're protected, so they probably won't convey, but they'll probably get rolled over to next year. But either way, they have picks they can trade. If they want to go out and get somebody, whoever they want to go out and get, they can go out and get. They have the picks to go do it. But I think the thing for them is either they got to wait till summer or they got to do some pre-agency where you either got to hope the Clippers start losing or somebody with just one of these stars that you can go and get. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think Zach LaVine's moving the needle for them. I don't think DeMar DeRozan is moving the needle for them. Like you said, they need a superstar. And they don't need not just a superstar, but they need a context setter. I forgot this guy, Jay Kyle, man. I listen to a lot of his stuff. He makes some good videos. But he said there's guys who are around the context and there's guys who are the context. For example, like LeBron. That's the context of your team. Everything is centered and revolved around him. They need one of those guys so they can set everything else into place. And I'm going to be honest, there's not many of those guys available. I mean, maybe you can go out and get a Devin Booker if the Suns flame out, but that's not likely to happen.
I don't think so.
Maybe maybe a Pascal Siakam?
I don't think he does it for him, though. As much as I love Pascal, I think, like you said, like a Kawhi or Paul George, maybe with the current team, that would have to be a free agency thing, though. The problem is, if they could sign somebody like that out of free agency with the current team, then that's something else. But if you're having to trade assets to get a Pascal Siakam or a Kawhi Leonard or somebody like that, if we're having to trade a part of our assets to get those guys, then are they still going to be where they're at? Now, if you get a free agency signing,
because
I love Donovan Mitchell.
Because things aren't going great over there in the land. So I'm just saying they have the assets to go out and get a Donovan Mitchell, and I think that Donovan Mitchell is what they need because he would come in and clearly be their best player. Everything else would revolve around them, but I don't know how he fits with other ball handlers because we haven't seen it work well in Cleveland with him and Garland. So I don't know how it would work with him and Brunson. But I definitely think a Donovan Mitchell would work. And I also think the Knicks were banking on this Joel Embiid situation going bad. The Sixers situation going bad. And it's not. Embiid's looked the best he's ever looked. The Sixers are looking the best they've ever looked in a while. So now they're just kind of in a place where they have all these assets. They have all these tradable contracts. All these guys, outside of Randall and Brunson, all these guys on the roster, they're making either anywhere from 10 to 18 million. They still have Evan Fournier. So definitely they can go get somebody. Evan Fournier is sitting on the bench collecting dust, making $18 million. You can trade that salary to somewhere else because there's a team option on it. And someone will decline it and they'll just be like, here. You want some good players? Here's some good players. Give us two, 3 picks. We'll take the contract off your hands. We'll give you these assets. And
Yeah. And I agree with what you're saying, but my thing is, if you can get they already have a whole lot of good players. That's the thing with them. That's why they're that's why they're one of those top 6 teams out east because they have a whole lot of the good to decent players. I think, like you said, they need one of those definitive number ones. And even Donovan Mitchell, I don't even know if he does it for me, and that's more so just the fit. But a guy like that caliber is what you mean. I agree with that. But I honestly think you would need to even be better than that. Like, for example, if I want to go for a superstar, my trade package is going to be revolved around a bunch of picks and RJ Barrett. And, a couple other pieces here and there. But, Joel Embiid, try waiting out for him. Maybe, like you said, a Kawhi or PG. But anything under a top 15, honestly, a top 15 or top 10 player, I don't know if it's getting it done because we don't see people win championships without that, right? So if they're okay with where they're at, why not go get a Pascal Siakam? If you can get a Pascal Siakam this year at the trade deadline, you throw in an Evan Fournier, like you said, a couple other pieces, 2 or 3 picks. If you're okay with still being a conference finals team or a conference semifinals team, go ahead and do it.
I feel like that's the biggest problem is that nobody that they can go readily get, except for maybe like a Donovan Mitchell, which I heard Caden mention in passing. But I'm just saying, who could they go get? I mean, LaVine makes them still just conference finals, in my opinion.
Does LaVine make them better? Because the Bulls are better without LaVine. Like,
Yeah,
people won't be like, you can't even say small sample size. Like, they were losing pretty bad without him, and then they were winning more. They were losing bad with him, then they're winning more games without him. However, what are your thoughts on the recent reporting of Lauri Markkanen's availability? Because I think he's somebody who can sway a lot of different things for people. A 7-footer with a flamethrower.
yeah. I don't. Again, does them getting Lauri Markkanen make them championship contenders?
Nope.
I definitely think it makes them interesting. If they can keep RJ Barrett, you're rolling out a lineup of Randall, Brunson, Barrett, Markkanen, and Mitchell Robinson. Like, that's a formidable lineup. That's somebody I don't want to see.
Yeah. But again, it still goes to me. It goes back to the point of with that roster or with that team. I think obviously like here's the way I want to put it is that team doesn't. I don't think they struggle defensively even if they don't have Tibbs as their coach. Like I think that team could play decent defense even without Tibbs. Their problem to me is putting up points, and that Tibbs is never going to be the coach that gets you in the best situations to put up the most points as possible. I think they would be better suited with a coach that's going to be offensive minded, offensive focused, for them to go as far as as that group can. I feel like there are teams that would benefit from having a coach like Tom Thibodeau, but I just don't think that is one of them with their current personnel, their current roster.
I also definitely think they don't really have many. I'm just looking at the roster. They don't really have many shot creators. So a lot of shot creation is falling on Randall and Brunson. So I definitely think a Pascal Siakam, not so much a Lauri Markkanen, but definitely a Pascal Siakam would definitely help in that capacity. But yeah, it was a good question you had. Like, where do they go? Like, either you have to get a superstar or blow it up. Because right now, you're a good team, but you don't have the player on your team that'll make you a great team.
Yeah, that's fair. Right.
What about you? What about you, Jalil? What do you think? About what the Knicks could do in this situation.
I mean, I think I said it when we first started. I mean, it's this season. At the trade deadline, I don't know who they could go out and get that's actually like, turning everything on its head and really making a playoff push. Because, look at the teams at the top of the East right now. They all have solidified stars and a solidified number 2 option. Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, and that's not going to change at all. You look at the Pacers, they have a growing star in Halliburton. You have a solid defense in Turner, and you have more guys growing along with that. But it's like the Knicks, to me, they've been the same franchise for the past 8, if not a decade. So,
yeah. Go ahead, Fish.
I think this season you kind of just repeat the process, and then this summer you possibly, looking at upcoming or potential free agents. You have a Klay Thompson. Harden is a potential free agent, although I think he'll re-sign with the Clippers. Siakam, DeRozan, so.
Wow. Yeah. I don't, and like you said, they've been for a decade. Obviously they were worse earlier in the decade, but it's like, what difference does it make? If they're never going to be, they're never bad enough to where it's like, the Knicks have to get the first pick. When they're never, I guess they were kind of when they got Barrett and when they got Porzingis as well. But, when you look at it from the past decade, usually they finish around like 10, 11, 12, right? Or they finish from maybe like 7 to
3, 4,
5. Yeah. And then it's like, what difference does it make? They're still going to have to get a tough draw in the first round. They don't have enough playoff experience. And then sometimes Julius Randle just absolutely disappears. So
and they also don't draft well.
Yeah. So, again, I don't know. I don't know what they do.
I guess at the end of the day, it just comes down to the Bucks have Giannis. The Celtics have arguably the greatest starting 5 ever. It's they're not the greatest, but it's an arguable. With all that talent, it's a very talented starting 5. The Sixers have Embiid. What do you have? What do you have that compares to anything like that? And the answer is nothing.
Yeah, that's the problem. It just comes down to a superstar. Without a superstar, you're not going to win a championship in the NBA.
No.
When's the last time we've seen that? 04?
04, maybe.
But
yeah, 04.
20 years ago.
They had Sheed. I know Sheed's not a superstar, but He made,
Yeah.
Nigga, no.
I'm pretty sure he made he made a couple All-Star teams. He made a couple All NBA teams. Like,
Well,
They had
Chauncey
Chauncey
Billups was the
Billups.
best player
They
on
had
that team.
Yeah.
but yeah,
I'd say all their like all their really good players equaled one superstar. But it's like not she definitely not the fucking superstar. I don't think.
Yeah. Like the only way for them to win, it would take a Giannis and Tatum injury during the playoffs. Like that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. So
Like, other than that, you're not beating. Like you're not. No matter what you do, even if you get a Siakam without giving up a lot, you're not better than the Bucks. You're not better than the Sixers. I don't think you're not better than the Celtics. And those are and of course you're gonna have the Heat. Jaime Jaquez is gonna drop 30 in a game 7, and then they're gonna be in the conference finals. So
yeah.
That's what we got. But yeah, the Knicks. I don't even think their management's okay with not even being a championship contender anyway.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, they're still making to the playoffs, making close to the second round. I think they want to, of course, but I think they're doing the right thing, and hopefully they. I just want them to stay patient because at the end of the day, it's still New York. Maybe draw on a superstar at some point and eventually get there, but that's about all I got for them.
Yeah, no, I'm good on that topic. Can move on to the last thing, kind of our question of the day.
Last question of the day. Let you lead this one off, RJ.
I saw something the other day, and it was something talking about average, and they talked about like players and stuff, but it was kind of older. And I was just wondering, like, who would y'all say is the most average player in the entire league? Like, as far as like their stats, their ability, like, who is the most average player to y'all? I'll let you start.
I can go ahead and lead this off. Yeah. So I didn't really do much like looking into this. I kind of just let like some names come to my mind, and I have 4 players that I can't tell you. Well, I can tell you why. So the 4 players I have on here is Harrison Barnes.
That's a good choice.
Which I'm gonna go into him. I'll go into him first because I just think about average, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your average height in the NBA is probably around like 6'6", 6'7", I would assume, right? He's around that height. You're a small forward. You can shoot a little bit, you can slash a little bit, make a little bit, play defense a little bit, do everything. Okay, not excellent at anything, not necessarily bad at any of those things either. And you're not you know what you're getting out of him every night. I also put on like a Nicholas Batum type. He's kind of the same mold. I also have Patrick Williams on here, and I have AJ Griffin. These are younger guys, but you don't, I know what I'm getting every night out of Patrick Williams. I'm going to get maybe a little bit of slashing, a little bit of corner threes, defense. That's really what I was saying about like really the 3-and-D guys is what you think of. I feel like when it comes to this, but those are the guys I have. And I think Harrison Barnes is the perfect example of me personally.
Yeah, I like that one. Caden, you go ahead because I feel like mine is a little different than Ethan's was.
I was definitely thinking, like Harrison Barnes or just like your quintessential like 8th man on the bench. Like if you, in the grand scheme of things, of like all NBA players, an 8th man is the most average player there is. But definitely amongst like quality players, Harrison Barnes is like as average as it gets. Like he's like you said, he can do everything well but nothing great.
Yeah. That's fair. So I chose one guy, and I kind of went with the angle you said, Caden, like just quintessential 8th man. You're not really expecting anything. This guy's more or less kind of a mundane guy. I don't know anything about the guy. It's really random. I chose Chetty Osman. That nigga just doesn't do anything. Like there's nothing to him. I mean, he shoot it a little bit. Does not terrible on defense, but he's not. I mean, you can't really depend on him on defense. It's just he's like the most average person I could think of. Like just not even
half the Spurs roster. Zach Collins.
Yeah, just like completely random. Just like a guy you wonder like not how he got there, but like how he's still there. I guess that makes that's the best way to put it. Jalil?
Mine's a bit different. I don't know. Like when I read the question, the first thing, for whatever reason, the first person that came into my mind was Cam Johnson. It's like he'd either be really easy. He's not like really good. He's not like really bad either.
Mm-hmm.
He can go out get 20. He can go out have 5 points. You won't really ever notice.
Damn.
But then also thought of it like just an average guy. I thought like Joe Harris. Bogdanovich, just like regular human beings.
Joe Ingles.
Somehow
I have another good regular human being, T.J. McConnell. Like if he walked in, he was like, yeah, like I'm your new gym teacher. Like he'd be like, damn, like Duke can kind of hoop. Like he wouldn't be like, what, this dude's definitely an NBA player, So as far as normal people, I have to say
another guy got to be Georges Niang. Him taking those photos with a little bit of Chubb, just out there shooting and having fun, bro.
Yeah, that's a good take.
Ish Smith.
Ish Smith. He's really
Ish
fast.
Smith is the most average player ever, though. But I mean, someone who's been on that many teams, like 12, 13 teams, the most average NBA player ever.
He might be.
I wonder. Average NBA player, right quick. I just want to see.
So to bring you up to like normal people. Go ahead, because I want to see.
It says average basketball player, 6'6", right? They are usually only last about 3 years in the NBA, because this is taking all NBA players, so it's still a bit different. But usually only average a couple years in the NBA. That's about all it gave me when I first pulled this up. But that's pretty interesting.
Let's try to find a guy that's third year 6'6". Let's think about a person, and then we can wrap it up.
Whatever happened to like the guy who won like back-to-back or 3 championships? Is like first 3 years in the league.
Oh, Patrick McCaw.
God. Patrick McCaw.
It might be Patrick McCaw.
It might be Patrick McCaw.
that might be a really good take.
But he was bad though. Like he was unplayable.
Is he still in the league?
No.
Yeah,
no, he's not.
Unplayable might be facts. That nigga was kind of.
His last season was in 2020, 2021 with Toronto.
Damn.
He's 6'7". Played. Let me see. 4 seasons. 4 seasons in the league. Won 3 championships in his 4 seasons. Wow,
that's pretty
nice.
I think that's pretty. That's pretty average.
Did Patrick McCaw have a successful NBA career?
No. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah.
Because okay. I mean, to me, if I was a pro, bro, think about it. He got 3 of them things, 3 rings, and he also can just walk around and live his normal life. If you're not a diehard basketball fan, you just be like, oh damn, that nigga's kind of tall. Like all of us would be like, that's fucking Patrick McCaw. But the average person can be like, dude, that dude kind of tall. So like, that's not all you can ask for.
He also played with Steph, KD, Clay, Draymond, and Kawhi, and the most voluptuous butt ever, Kyle Lowry.
He also played with LeBron.
Yeah, he did play with LeBron.
He had 3 games. I was looking at. He had 3 games with Cleveland, too. And where he got that year, he won the championship with Toronto. He first got traded to Cleveland, and he got flipped to Toronto. He played 3 games with Cleveland, so he played with LeBron as well.
So he's played with like the best players.
Actually, I'm sorry. Why did he not play with the Lakers at one point?
Did he?
Yeah, wasn't he a part of the bubble ring? I think.
Nah, I didn't.
He wasn't.
Nah.
Maybe that was somebody else. That was one of those other Warriors. That was what's his Quinn Cook. That's who we're thinking.
Oh yeah. Quinn Cook's pretty average too. That nigga, it's nothing to him. Type of shit.
Yeah. But I think we decided it's Patrick McCaw. And, hey, shout out to him.
I wish I had a Patrick
Still only 28. Career. Maybe he'll have a comeback.
You think he's gonna make a comeback, Ethan?
20. He's only 28. He's in the prime of his career.
He's cooked. He's done.
He's done.
He's cooked.
Yeah. But all right, y'all. This was pretty fun. Quick episode for y'all today.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate for y'all watching. Make sure y'all subscribe. Like if you're new. Go follow us on TikTok and Instagram, where we upload our shorts and Reels content over there. All that good stuff. And make sure y'all tune into the YouTube. We have a couple other videos besides the podcast dropping weekly. So y'all make sure y'all tune in for that. And I want to thank you, Caden, for joining us today. We appreciate you bringing out some time to talk some hoops with us, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you for having me on, man.
Yeah, but of course,
we'll make you beg again to get back on now. This begging was only for this episode, so it's Sorry.
This guy.
But all right, y'all. Unless y'all got anything else, we're good.
Shout out Texas Women's Volleyball National Championship. Go Longhorns.
What you said again?
Shout out Texas Women's Volleyball. Go
Nigga,
Longhorns.
you're ungodly horny. You need... Bro, no one's watching that shit. It was just you. You were the only viewer. They got you.
Hey,
he's watching right now? Oh, nah. You're sick. Go get help.
Oh, it's sport, bro.
Bro, nah. I know why you're watching.
No, I watch volleyball over tennis.
Okay, name me 4 people on the team.
Hey, I watch the sport. I don't know.
This nigga's just lying. Okay, who are the other top teams this year?
Texas, Nebraska, Oregon, Wisconsin. Who did Texas beat again today? I know those 4 for sure.
Type shit.
Texas, Nebraska, Oregon, Wisconsin. So yeah, those were they were all part of the final 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
You safe for now. Hello, horny ass.
Volleyball sport.
All right. Anyways, wrap us up, Ethan.
Yes, sir. All right, but yeah, like I said, y'all make sure y'all like the video, and we're out of here. We'll see y'all next Monday. Peace.